أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم رب زدنا علما اللهم رب زدنا علما. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and salutation on his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. With grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, we completed tafsir of Surah Baqarah in English section, 62 verses. Today we will discuss about the verse number 63 and 64. Still we are talking about the children of Israel, about the Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on them lot of his favor, bounties. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent lot of messenger to Bani Israel. He gave them book and parted for them sea and give them lot of other bounties, give them water, and still all these bounties and favor they still refusing act upon on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Musa gave Torah to them, they refused. This said, we don't act upon on this book until we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala openly. And we already learned about this verse, فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ. Then thunderbolt come and they finished and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَوْتِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them life again. Inshallah, first of all we complete the translation of these two verses word by word. After that we come to the tafsir of these two verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention here وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, and when we took your covenant. وَإِذْ, and when أَخَذْنَا, we took مِيثَاقَكُمْ, your covenant. wa, and إِذْ, when أَخَذْنَا, we took مِيثَاقَكُمْ, your covenant, binding pact, agreement, pledge. وَرَفَعْنَا, and we raised فَوْقَكُمْ, above you, At-Tura, what? The mountain Sinai, the Tur. Khudhu, you all take ma, what? Ataynakum, we gave you bekuwatin, with strength, with ability. Vadhkuru, and remember ma fiye, what is in it. La'allakum, perhaps, tattakun, you shall be Allah fearing, or so that you tattakuna, adopt taqwa, you all adopt taqwa. Thumma tawallaytum, then you turned away or reverted Mim ba'd dhalika, after that, فَلَوْلَا, so had there been no fadlullahi alaykum, favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on you, wa rahmatuhu, and His mercy, lakuntum, you should have been min, among al-khasirin, those are loser, among the loser. Lakuntum min al-khasirin, you would have been among the losers. Surely you all were the loser, those who suffer a loss. This is the translation of verse number 63 and 64. If you look at this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them order here to act upon on the Torah, but they refused. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remind them about this pledge, about this agreement, about this covenant, about this pledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned here, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, and remember when we took a مِيثَاقَكُمْ, covenant, وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورِ, from you whilst raising the Mount Sinai over you. فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورِ خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ, hold on to what we have given to you firmly. وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ, and remember its teachings, its commandment. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, you may become righteous, you may become muttaqi, may you gain taqwa, may you gain fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ, but then you turned your back on it, covenant. فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ, had it not been for the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His mercy to you, لَكُنْتُمْ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, you would surely have been among the losers. When we look at these verses, when Musa alayhi salam presented the Torah to the Bani Israel, they expressed their inability to act upon its teaching. Hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hung the mountain of Sinai over their heads, and it seemed that it would crash down upon them at any moment. At that time, the Bani Israel accepted the Torah in fear of pending punishment and promised to act upon it. They accept the book of Allah, Torah, and they promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they act upon on the verses of Torah. However, soon after, they broke this promise. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not showed His mercy and favor, they would have been totally destroyed. When we look deeply at the verses of the Holy Quran, we find how the behavior of the Bani Israel, they refuse again and again. They reject the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They kill the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And instead of all this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mercy on them and forgive them. But when the person continuously do mistakes, then this is not acceptable. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them also punishment. Now, in this verse, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ, O children of Bani Israel, O children of Israel, remember when we took your covenant and we raised above you the Mount Sinai. Hold fast to that which we have given you. That means the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Torah. And remember that which is therein, so that you may acquire taqwa. May you gain taqwa. May you gain fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that, you turned away. Had it not been for the grace and mercy of Allah upon you, indeed you would have been among the losers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded the children of Israel of the pledges, covenant and promises that He took from them to believe in Him alone, without a partner, and follow His messengers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that when He took their pledge from them, He raised the mountain above their heads so that they affirm the pledge that they gave Allah and abide by it with sincerity and seriousness. Hence Allah's statement, وَإِذْ نَتَكْنَا الْجَبَلَ فَوْقَهُمْ كَأَنَّهُمْ ذُلَّةٌ وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُمْ وَاقِعٌ بِهِمْ خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And remember when we raised the mountain over them as if it had been a canopy, and they thought that it was going to fall on them. We said, hold firmly to what we have given you, Torah, and remember that which is therein, act on its commandments, so that you may fear Allah and obey Him. The mountain mentioned here in this verse is At-Tur, just as it was explained in Surah Al-Araf according to the tafsir of Ibn Abbas, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with him, Mujahid, Ata, Ikrama, Al-Hasan, Al-Basri, Abu Dahaq, Al-Rabi bin Anas and others, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with all of them. This is more obvious. There is another report from Ibn Abbas, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with him, saying the Tur is a type of mountain that vegetation grows on. If no vegetation grows on it, it is not called Tur. And in the hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ about the trials, Ibn Abbas said, when the Jews refused to obey, Allah raised the mountain above their heads so they would listen. Al-Hasan said that Allah's statement, خُذُوا مَا عَاتَيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قُوَّةٍ, hold fast to that which we have given you, means the Torah. Mujahid said that the ayah commanded strictly adhere to it. Abu al-Aliya and Rabi said that وَذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ, and remember that which is therein, means read the Torah and implement it. Allah's statement, ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ, then after that you turned away, had it not been for the grace of Allah, means yet after the firm pledge that you gave, you still deviated and broke your pledge. فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ, had it not been for the grace and mercy of Allah upon you, meaning by forgiving you and by sending the Prophet and messengers to you. لَكُنْتُم مِّنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, indeed you would have been among the losers, meaning in this life and the life hereafter due to their breach of covenant. Look in this verse, Actually, we learned about Bani Israel, and today we will learn about important events from which many lessons can be learned. When the Holy Prophet ﷺ migrated from the Makkah to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ, he lived as well as with some Jewish tribe. The Quran addressed the Muslims, teaching them what they were supposed to do, and there was also verses revealed direct to the Bani Israel. Why? To remind them of the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed on them, so that they become more obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't participate anybody beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They worship alone Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe in the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and follow him. In these verses, we will learn about the events from the history of Bani Israel, the children of Israel, that were mentioned. Why? To remain huge favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also so that the Bani Israel as well as the Muslim can learn many lessons from these verses. Because if you look at the past, you know that in history you reflect them many lessons. We always learn from the past. We learn from our own past. We learn from the other past. History should not just be studied, should not be just narrated for the sake of narration, for the sake of information. Whenever we never look back, it should be in order to learn a lesson, and this is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Holy Quran. Let us look at these verses. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, and recall when we took your covenant. Mean, O Bani Israel, recall this incident. Remember this time when we took your covenant from you. So, took your covenant, and the word mithaq used for covenant from the root letter waw tha qaf, wathaq. Wathaq is used for rope. What do you do with the rope? You tie things together, you bind them together, things that are loose, that are separate, you take a rope and you connect them so they are firmly bound. From the same root is the mithaq. Mithaq is used for covenant, a pact, pledge. Why is called them the mithaq? Because mithaq binds, you ties you up with some obligations. You are required to do something, and you are required to not do something. You are free of that obligations before, but now you are obligated. And mithaq is called also because it is a such promise, it is a covenant that is made firm. How it is made firm? By be made official. For example, when you talk with your friend that I will give you money, and you give him after 2 or 3 or 4 days, this is just verbal conversation about you and about your friend. This is not official document. But when you do agreement front of lawyer and there also witnesses, you sign on that documents and your friend also sign, this document will be official and more strong, more powerful. Like this, the Bani Israel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took pledge from them, and they promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They promise that we act upon on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like here, when you sign, this document become official like this. When they promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Misaq is such a covenant that is official. And how it made official? By swearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By saying that, yes, by Allah, we swear that we will do such and such, we will not do such and such. This is the Misaq. Very strong promise or very serious covenant. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ, O Bani Israel, we took your covenant, your promise. It was not an ordinary agreement. It was a covenant. And how take that covenant from you? And we raised above you the mountain, so you will make that promise. And Rafa'a, Rafa'in, Rafa'na is the from root letter Rafa'a, and its mean physical is to raise something, to elevate something, and also to elevate someone in their rank. So Rafa'na, lifted up, we raised Fawqakum, above you. Fawq is above, and we have learned earlier Fama Fawqaha. So we lifted above you what? The word At-Tur means mountain, and this is not Arabic language. And otherwise the word Tur in the Quran also used to refer to mountain Sinai. Just not any mountain, but particularly which mountain? Mountain Sinai. Anything special about the mountain of Sinai? We learned earlier about the Musa alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Musa over there. وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ, who lifted up the mountain of Tur. Khuzu, all of you take. Root letter Akhaza, it is a command. All of you. Ma ataynakum, whatever we given you. Atayna, Amza Taya, you take it, hold it, on to it. How should you take it? You should accept with strength, with power. There are two types of strength. The first one is physical strength. If you say so and so is very strong, mean physically power, very able. And the second one is intangible strength or inner strength. And inner strength can take on many forms. It can be the form of determination, trust in Allah. It can be in the form of firm result. It can be in the form of very committed, not giving up. The Bani Israel was told, take whatever we are giving you with the strength. what they were given. And even the Torah, the book, and they were told that hold this book with strength. What does mean hold the book firmly? That means act upon on the verses of the book. Take all of it, accept all of it, not just hold in hand or put in high place. This is also good. This is وَمَنْ يُعَزِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّ مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ, because when you respect the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the sign of heart. People, they have taqwa, but the purpose is here acting upon on the order mentioned in book in its entirety, and don't pick and choose. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Quran, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ, you believe in the some parts of the book and you reject the other. That means follow it, not for some time, but with constancy, with determination. Because if a person fall one thing at certain time and given up in other time, is the determined? No. He is doing what he commanding with strength. No, he is weak in his act, in his action. This was set for Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding them that, look, promise was take from you, from your forefather. What is the opposite of holding something with strength? Holding something with weakness. That person is doing, makes a little bit, somebody makes a little bit fun and says that he loses all his confidence. He says, I will never do it again. This is not quwwah. What is the quwwah? That once when you started, keep it doing continuously. No matter any difficulty you find in your way, any problem you face in your way, if you are sincere for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then do it. And firmly do it. And do it only for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many problems you face, stay firm. خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ. And also told, وَذْكُرُوا, and remember what ma fi, whatever that is in this book, meaning whatever that is in the Torah. Every single instruction, what you do, should you do, remember it. Don't forget it. What is the mean by vazkuru ma fihi? How do you do zikr of something? Zikr of something is done with qalb, heart, with lisan, tongue, and also with the jawari, limbs, organs of the body. What does mean by that? The qalb mean the heart. Remember, it mean don't forget it. Like for example, if person has memorized the Holy Quran, Vazkuru ma fihi mean that he keep refresh his memories. He keep memorizing the Holy Quran again and again. And that only possible when keep studying, keep memorizing. Secondly, zikr is also done by lisan, with the tongue. So whatever in the book, read it, recite it. Typically what the people do, if they love one surah of the Holy Quran, they recite again and again just that surah, and they ignore the big part of the Holy Quran. That is not correct. Allah says, وَذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ. Read whatever in it. Entire book. read, recite. Thirdly, zikr is also done through the jawari, through the limbs. What is mean by that? Whatever command have been given, person also act upon on them. Person brings them in his action. Why you remember what is in it by your tongue, by your action, and by your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَعَلَّكُمْ, so you are tattaqoon, you gain taqwa. Then the purpose of all these, the doing zikr with tongue, the doing zikr with heart, the doing actions with limbs, is to gain taqwa, to fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the taqwa? Al-khawfu min al-jalil, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And wal-amalu bil-tanzil, you act upon on the verses of the Holy Quran. Wal-rida bil-kalil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you more provision or less, you pleased with Him. Wal-istidadu li-yawmir rahil, and you prepared yourself in the day of judgment for akhirah. That show, remember the book, holds the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bring them, when the person hold the book, then through this book bring them in person taqwa. Because whenever person does good deeds, what you did do? More good deeds, because he gets satisfaction in their heart. In Surah Baqarah, there is verse regarding to fast. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba alal ladina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Fasting have been described on you as described on those before you. Why? You should develop taqwa. That means fasting lead to taqwa. Meaning good deeds lead to the other good deeds. And we learn also in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuhan nasu u'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Worship your Lord. And in the end of ayah about taqwa, worship your Lord who created you and created the people before you, may you gain taqwa. Then good deed bring the other good deed. Because when a person perform a good deed, his heart is satisfied, because this is what we created. This is the person, the purpose of creation of human being. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't create jinn and ins except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the sense of achievement. We have the sense of fulfillment. We feel satisfied, and that is the sourcement of the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention here لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. When heart is satisfied, person ever perform more deeds. On the other hand, when person disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know what that does? It create a distance between a person and his Lord. Person have no interest in doing good deeds. When you do something right, you are able to do more, and when you do something wrong, you feel shy going before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many people said that I am not praying, then how I make dua? I am not praying, how I perform hajj? I am not fasting, how I perform salah? Or I am not praying, how I fast? Then before they said, I fix myself in such and such things, then I will focus on prayer. And one sin is lead to another sin. One good deed is lead to another good deed, as we learn in الصدق لا يهدي إلى البر. The truth is lead to the good thing. The taqwa lead to the good deeds. When the person fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he act upon on the verses of the Holy Quran, he do good things, he avoid from the bad himself from the bad things. Then what is the meaning of covenant? And when was this? You remember when Musa alayhi salam from the mountain, he brought the Torah and he given it to Bani Israel. What they say? We will never listen to you hatta nara Allah jahratan, until we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala openly, clearly. And we learned earlier فَأَخَذَتْكُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَوْتِكُمْ, that they were struck with the thunderbolt, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them life again. And they were finished. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given the life again and other chance to live. And then Musa alayhi salam given the book again. They refused and they said, we can't follow, can't study this. For example, people are told to learn the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, study the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, I don't want to. Why? Because if I know, then I need to act upon on the verses of the Holy Quran. And I don't want to act upon, then I don't need to study. I don't need to recite. I don't need to learn. Similar attitude of Bani Israel. Musa alayhi salam brought the book. He gives them the book. They refuse. Refusing. What happened then? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifted up the mountain and raised above their heads and said, accept it, then otherwise you finish, you done, it is over. Because they were safe from Fir'aun, sea was parted for them, so many blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on them, so that they were live by the book and they will tell other people about the book. Suppose when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed all these bounties on them, suppose they act upon on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Torah, and they teach this book to the other people, they inform other people about this book, but they reject this book and they said, we don't want to learn, we don't want to act upon. Now we not can accept this book, we will not listen. After this, when they reject, they refuse to act upon on the book, they deserve to be saved them, so or live them. This is why the mountain lifted on them, and then they accept, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to them, accept or done, finished, it is over. So at that time they afraid, they said, fine, now we will accept. They accepted make promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, we will hold on the book with firmness and we will remember what is in it. They made a promise. They said, we will hold on it, will remember, we will not forget this book. But what happened? Soon they turned away from this. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ لَكُنْتُم مِّنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. In this life and thereafter, due to their breach of the covenant, they become loser. Indeed, you would have been among the loser. And if we look at these verses, verse number 63 and 64, this is very important, that when you make promise with anybody, you need to fulfill it. And when you remind, if he is not fulfilling his promise, when you remind someone, that means you are reminding them to fulfill his promise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remind them here about the pledge they make with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon on the verses of the Holy Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlighten our hearts with the light of Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon on the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us proper understanding in the Quran and Sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to read and recite Quran properly and convey the message of the Quran to the other people. Jazakumullah khair wa ma alayna illa al-balagh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.